Welcome to Exotic Gardening with me, Yorkshire Kris, in the next edition of our series of looking at the garden throughout winter. We've had a few episodes of getting ready for winter, and now we're definitely feeling like winter has arrived. The last 2 nights have been down to sub-zero. We've had minus 1.1 and minus 1.2. So not too cold, but enough to damage quite a lot of the tender plants. For the last week I've been working. I've not seen the garden in the daytime. It's been pitch black when I've got home and when I set off in the morning. So this will be my first look around the garden since I last did a video last week. So I'm going to give you a quick tour around some of the garden and also look what things I need to do to protect the plants over the next few weeks and months to get them through winter. So in previous episodes, we started protecting some plants, and some of the plants we've protected by taking cuttings were things like this Ericene over here. And you can see why I've already protected it, because this one that I haven't protected, the frosts have made it completely mushy at the ends here. And if I leave this out for longer, it will all go mushy. It's really the exposed leaves that have got the frost. If you go further down the plant, actually, it's still fine. It was not cold enough down here to damage a plant at this level. So if I wanted to, I could dig this up or take more cuttings. But as I've got enough plants, as you can see from the greenhouse, if I look through this window, you can see we've got lots of cuttings through there, a bit of condensation as well. But you can see they're happy, toasty and warm as the plane goes overhead. Hopefully you can still hear my voice. We'll just go around and let's have a look at what damage has occurred over the last couple of nights. So things like the palm trees, obviously totally fine. The bamboos are totally fine. These won't be protected at all over winter anyway. The tree fern here, so we've got the Dicksonia antarctica, totally green, and this will stay green down to about -3, -4. But if it's got lots of overhead cover, it might stay green to -5, -6. I could put straw in the crown, and I will be doing that when it gets a bit colder. But at the moment, it's actually got loads of leaves in there, so it's got insulation, it's got overhead cover, so this one is totally fine. Over here, we can see lots of damage on all sorts of plants. So in front of me, you've got the gingers, gone a bit mushy. The spider flowers have finished now. This canna here, you can literally see even on one leaf, one side has gone brown and dead, the other side's still got a little bit of life in it, so you can see where the frost has caught it. Above this, we have got the magnificent tree dahlia, which unfortunately won't get to flower this season. It's a very late flowering plant anyway, and this year we won't quite make it because it's completely been zapped by the frosts. So this is my tropical part of the garden where everything either grows from seed or comes back from rhizomes in the ground, such as the gingers and the dahlias. You can see the ricinus have been hit by the frosts, both the green and the red versions up here. And if we look further down, look at these colocasias. They've been completely zapped, every leaf of this completely zapped. And this is pink china. This is a hardy one, so it will stay out. It doesn't really need much protection, but I probably will mulch over some of these just to give it an extra blanket of warmth over winter. Further down, actually, if we have a look really far down, we can see some of these pink chinas are totally fine, and that is because of the overhead canopy of everything else. But we'll come back to them later on. If we look over here, this is a Musa sicumensis, which has been blackened off now. So now is the time, right now, this weekend, to either dig this up or protect it in situ. So I might just well, I've dug up one put, but I might just protect this in situ, cut off the leaves, put a straw cage around it, keep it nice and insulated. So I'll probably do that this weekend. Musa baju is hiding amongst all the foliage down there, and you can see nice green leaf over there, good strong stem, and again I'll protect that with straw as well. Now let's go further down the garden. If I look at this area here, this is pretty much mush everywhere. So the sky is right above us, obviously, but there's no overhead canopy in this section of the garden. So the frosts have really got to these tender plants, the irisenes, the plectranthus. So, you know, this Solanium is just about holding on, and this is on the tender side, but just about holding on. But all this here has gone to mush. Euphorbia ceiling, I've just noticed, that's totally fine, that's a hardy plant. And then up here, we've got the Scheffler, and this again has been hardy for me down to minus 7.7 in the past, and that doesn't need any protection yet. And if it really gets really cold, I will protect the centre. Right, let's go further down the garden to talk about a couple of things I have done. The gunnerer here, you can see where I've put the leaves over the centre. That just protects the crown and it just tidies it up for winter. So, you know, rather than taking all these leaves away to the compost heap, I'm just leaving them over the crown. And you can see where the frost has caught some of the leaves that I've not put down to the ground yet. And now we've got a big issue. Got a big issue. If we come over the bridge, you probably can see the archway is gone. So we're going to have to clear this area. Obviously it's rotten, we've had all the wind and storms and it's completely collapsed and we've got the plants over it. So if I just step across on this side, you can see where we've got all the chocolate vines. We're going to have to cut these back basically, cut these back really hard, and to be honest some of these stems are probably snapped anyway. It's not going to be possible to take all these stems off the arch. They're going to have to be cut down because they've gone in and out of the archway, and this is a big tidy up job. It's not the end of the world. Chocolate vines, the passion fruit vines here are very, very vigorous, so even if they're cut back hard, I'm sure they'll come back really, really well. That's another job I need to be doing. So it's sad to see the end of this archway. It's been a key feature in the garden over the last 3 or 4 years. I've not decided yet whether to replace it like for like or to do something different in this part of the garden. So let's carry on down. Amaranthus, that's finished. It went to seed anyway, end of the season, so that can be cut down. But this part of the garden is mainly hardy plants. So we've got the palms like the Cerifera down here, the nice blue leaves. We've got the yuccas that we looked at last week. We've got my nice New Zealand privet hedge, which is evergreen and always looks good. But one job I did get done before the frost arrived is I've put some shelters over plants. So here we've got a little cloche, and that is over my polyphylla aloe down there. Cacti here I've not protected. That will be totally fine without protection. It's a nice and hardy one, and it's nice free draining soil there, so that should be fine. But the main bed over here of agaves, you can see I've put this great big shelter over the top. I'm going to duck down and sort of show you what's under here. So if I just get down here, you can see the agaves. They're nice and cozy in there. I've had to press down the top here of this agave americana just to get the shelter across. But these are going to be fine all winter like this. I've left the sides open for air ventilation, and it's just the top to stop the rain and the snow getting in. So it's still pretty wet under there because I only put the shelter on last week. I really should have done it earlier in October, but I think that should be fine. It's worked every other year to get these plants through. You may notice the big blue Brea Marta palm above, not protected. It's a nice chunky specimen now, and I won't protect that at all unless we're due some snowfall, and I might put fleece in the crown just to stop snow and ice forming like a big ring of solid block of ice around the crown, which we don't want. Agave americana, variegata, I've put a cloche over that. Over the main plant, little pups, we'll have to just risk it out there. If you run out of sort of proper shelters like I have, I've just put an old washing basket over an agave over here, so that's just not rubbish. That's actually got a plant under that, keeping that nice and dry as well. And that's pretty much it for the protection I've done so far. So you can see we've had the damage of certain plants in the first half of the garden. The second half, like we said, is mainly evergreen plants and they don't need as much protection or no protection at all. Legumes here, these shrivel up when it goes frosty, but when the temperatures raise above 0, they'll plump out their leaves again. And this will be fine down to about -4, -5. If we get lower than that or below -3 for a long time, then this might die off. But in mild winters, these come through fine. Same with Melianthus. This might get cut down to the ground, but it'll always come back from the ground in spring. But in mild winters, it will keep its foliage throughout winter as well. We won't go down further into the garden because here, this is where I need to tidy up basically. I'm going to move some of this bamboo. I'm going to dig up all these seedlings of the gigantic Giscaya bamboos as well in spring. So that's for another day. But if we just finally just come down here, we have got the ends of some dahlias. So they're blackened off, but they will be fine because all the energy is stored in the rhizomes under the ground and they'll come back next year. Echiums here have just recently been attacked by some caterpillars. You can see the damage on there, but they should hopefully have had enough to eat now and should be hibernating. And these hopefully will get through winter. The sad look of the archway on its side over there. Luckily, I don't think it's crushed too many plants down there. But yeah, that's going to be a big job to sort out in the next few weeks. And then we've got to decide what we're going to do. So thank you for watching this edition of Exotic Gardening with me, Yorkshire Kris. We've got some, good pointers in terms of doing protection for some plants and also not to worry about protecting plants too quickly. We've still got time to protect the hardier things and things like the dahlias and the rhizomes and the cannas in the ground. I don't need to protect them yet because it's not cold enough. So join me next week where we're doing more in the garden, we're doing more jobs and we'll be thinking further about cold temperatures that are yet to come.